What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for October 3rd, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Thursday edition of the podcast, a bye-week Thursday for the Eagles. I want to wish a Shana Tova to all of my friends out there who are celebrating the new year. I wish you a blessed and happy one, and go Phils. All right, let's start off with some housekeeping notes first. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont at Twitter and TikTok, at Philly Jimbo on Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Spread the word. That's how we grow. That's at Jimbo_Mont as well. If you need information on the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony, all of that information is in the description. And a quick note, if you're out there listening and you're the one that stole my Wu-Tang is Forever, Presidents Are Temporary sign, just know that the point was made. And I knew somebody was going to get pissed off, and I knew it was going to happen, and I don't know which side it was, and quite frankly, I don't care. But it just goes to show that people get more heated about their president-elects or candidates than they do their sports teams. So you might have think you won, but I knew it was going to happen. I got the satisfaction of knowing that I got under your skin just enough that you decided to steal my sign. Wu-Tang forever. And quite frankly, nobody cares who you're going to vote for anyway. So you didn't really win. I win because I knew it and I got under your skin. Anyway, let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, which one of the coordinators is most disappointing this year, whether it was Vic Fangio or Kellen Moore? And I think you could have made the case for either one. But with 74% of the vote, you thought it was Vic Fangio. And I think I can go with that because with the offense, there's been injuries. They've been missing people and things like that. And the defense, it just really, to me, doesn't seem like Vic Fangio is interested in coaching these young guys. So, I don't know. Thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. We'll have another one later in the show. 267-495-8531 is the Back to the Future voice and text line. We do have some bye-week Eagles news, and you know it's a bye week when this is the lead story. But Stevie Nicks apparently is going to be on this year's Christmas album with the Philly Specials, which is pretty cool. Looking forward to that. Still no word on whether Taylor Swift will be on, but something tells me somehow, some way, Taylor Swift will be involved. Going to football news, though, Darius Slay did apologize to Eagles fans. Basically said that's not who he is. He got mixed up, sorry. And I couldn't tell whether he was sorry for posting his stats, sorry for being on Michael Parsons' podcast, which to me, I don't care. Like, I'm not one of those hardcore, we don't even have silver things in our house because we hate the Cowboys. I'm not one of those kind, so I don't care. I mean, whatever. Michael Parsons obviously is in love with us anyway. Or whether he was apologizing for ripping CJ GJ, which again, probably he did deserve because he was the one who got his ass whooped. But I don't need your apology, Slay. I really, really don't. Like, don't lecture me on what you do in the building as the captain. Don't lecture me on what you're not this, you're not that. Here's how you help out the team. I couldn't care less. I need you to just play better. Play better. And again, don't tell me that's not who you are because that has been consistently who you are. A me guy who posts his stats, teams in a free fall last year, and you're telling me about how good you played. So miss me with all of that. But he did apologize, so whatever. I didn't even think it was anything to apologize about. You want to apologize? Go play better. Learn to tackle. I haven't seen you make a tackle in 4 years. Anyway, be sure to check out my boys at the Clashing Conferences podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. New football episode is out. Have not had a chance to watch it yet, but I'm sure it's going to be a spicy one. All right, let's go to the Phils. Phils apparently tied in their inter-squad scrimmage yesterday, 5-5. They called it after 8. Bryce, Weston Wilson, and Nick Castellanos all homered. Apparently, Ranger looked better. Spencer Turnbull still needs some work. Didn't appear as though he would be on the NLDS roster, but Topper didn't rule it out. However, if he continues to work, there is a chance that he could end up making NLCS or even World Series. But Brewers Mets tonight, winner take all game 3 after the Brewers won last night. And again, if I had my choice, I'd rather play the Brewers, but I think this team is going to be focused. I think they're going to be fine no matter who they play. And for the people out there saying, oh, don't be scared, play whoever, it's not about being scared. It's just being smart. I mean, if we match up better against Milwaukee, why not want to play Milwaukee? It's very similar to in the NFL. It's like if we can play Tampa Bay is a bad example after what happened last week, but if we can play the Buccaneers versus having to play the 49ers in the first round, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But I'll be fine with either team. Braves are also out. But no matter who we play, if you have tickets and you are going to sell them, I've seen this posted a couple times. I believe it's through PHLY Sports. John Foley posted this on his Twitter, as well as my boy Johnny Marks. If you're going to sell, reach out to one of those guys, John specifically, and I've seen him post a couple tickets. And what this does is does two things. One, kind of eliminates all the fees you pay. And if you ever sold tickets on Ticketmaster, they gouge you with fees. So if you go through John Foley, what he'll do is just post it, sell it, and that way he can guarantee that you're not paying all of the ridiculous fees. And it also helps to keep the Mutts fans out of Citizens Bank Park, because we know how they, much like Cowboy Cockroach fans, tend to come out of the woodwork when their team is good. But if you are going to sell tickets, go to John. That way it'll take care of any fees and help make sure Philly fans get to enjoy it. You can follow him on Twitter at 2008Phils. We talked about him before and done some work with him. So John Foley, 2008Phils, if you're going to be selling some of your playoff tickets. Union got off to a slow start yesterday, and once they caught fire, it was too late, losing 2-1. They fell out of playoff contention and currently are in the 10th spot, 3 points out of that wild card spot with 2 games left. They certainly made it more difficult. Game it was there to be won, just some missed opportunities. So they are slowly winding down, but time is running out and they may not be able to control their own destiny now. Flyers wrap up the preseason tonight, and then they open up out west next week, Friday in Vancouver, and then make the whole West Coast tour, Calgary, Seattle. What's the other team that's out there? I forget the other team that's out there, but they do a nice little West Coast swing for the first week of the season before coming back home to the Wells Fargo Center. Do have some Sixers news out of training camp. Jarend McCain looked actually pretty good. Got a lot of praise from his teammates as well as Nick Nurse. Shooting the ball well. Definitely showed toughness, which is, I think, probably was one of the questions about him coming out, and certainly one of the hallmarks of a Nick Nurse system. But by all stretches of the imagination, he's showing some promise. Should get some playing time. Probably won't get a ton. But it's good to see him getting shouted out and recognized early in camp by not only Nick Nurse, but Tyrese and a couple of the other teammates shouted him out. And I saw an interview with Tyrese, and I think he's going to have I know it's hard to say a breakout season when somebody just signed a max deal, but I think Tyrese, we're going to see a big step up in his game just with leadership and just the little intangibles and things like that. But looking forward to that. All right. On this day, we're going to go back to 1993. And on this day, back in 1993, Eagles beat the Jets 35-30 in a thriller up in the Meadowlands. It was a costly one, though, for the Eagles. They lost Randall Cunningham with a broken leg and Fred Barnett with an ACL tear. And I also think Jeff Seidner went down in that game, too, who was a great return man for them. But it was Bubby Brister who came in the second quarter in relief, threw for 108 yards and 2 touchdowns, one to Mark Bavaro, one to Calvin Williams. But the Eagles trailed late in the fourth quarter in this game, 30-28, after Bubby Brister got called for intentional grounding in the end zone for a safety. And the Jets were driving, but the defense came up huge. They were just inside the red zone. Eric Allen picked off a boomer-sizing pass at the 6-yard line and then took it to the house, 94 yards for the winning touchdown. He went, handed the ball to Randall, who was standing in the tunnel in street clothes and was on crutches. But back to Eric Allen's return. This, if you've never seen this, or it's been a while since you've seen this, look it up. Eric Allen, do like a Google search, Eric Allen return versus the Jets. It's probably, first of all, it's one of the best interceptions you're going to see. Usually defensive backs don't have hands the way that Eric Allen did and was able to intercept this. But then the return was just absolutely phenomenal. One side of the field to the other. Took it in for the score. And you love that he handed the ball to Randall. Eagles did improve to 4-0, and we're looking going into the game as one of the top teams. They were, like I said, 4-0. Them and the Saints were the only undefeated teams in the league at the time. But then they lost 6 straight to fall out of contention. They'd finished the season 8-8. And to me, it was just yet another devastating season for me as a young Eagles fan. After suffering through the Buddy Ryan choke jobs in the playoffs, you had the Randall torn ACL in 91. 92, they finally won a playoff game, but then Reggie left and Jerome Brown died. And then all of a sudden, you're 4-0, you're looking good, and then it just completely falls apart. And then we all know what happened the next year, 7-2. Lost 7 in a row. So just another layer of the callus of being an Eagles fan. So some of you young fans out there don't know what that's like really, because you know nothing but success and Super Bowls. It was tough when we were kids. But on this day back in 1993, Eagles beat the Jets 35-30 up in the Meadowlands. Randall Cunningham went out with a broken leg. Fred Barnett tore his ACL. But Eric Allen was the hero, going 94 yards, returning a Boomer Esiason interception to clinch the game for the Eagles. One of the best you'll ever see. So go check it out and truthfully find out. You got to look this up because the play was great. And Eric Allen, why is he not in the Hall of Fame? Answer me that. I'm not even going to ask that as the question of the day because we know he should be in the Hall of Fame. All right, but today's question of the day before we get into our Red October great games in Phillies postseason history, who wins the game tonight, Mets or Braves? Simple one. It doesn't really matter to me. I think the Brewers win. They have not played well. Stupid fielding errors and things like that, I think, is what helped cost them the game the other night. A fielding error gave up 2 of the 3 runs that they gave up yesterday. I think the Brewers win, but let me know what you think. 267-495-8531. That'll get you in. Mets, Brewers, who wins? Let me know on the Back to the Future voice and text line. All right, our Red October great games in Phillies postseason history. We're going to go back to the 93 NLCS. We talked about Game 1 the other day, but let's talk about Game 5. And on this day, ironically enough, the Phillies found out they were playing the Braves. So on October 3rd, 1993, it was the last day of the season. Braves clinched the Western Division over the Giants. So just kind of played out perfectly for us today for this. But Game 5 of the 93 NLCS, Phillies were blown out after winning Game 1 and Games 2 and 3. They weren't even close, and it was kind of like, here we go. They caught lightning in a bottle for Game 1. Here's where the luck runs out. They came back and won a pitcher's duel in Game 4, 2-1. So it kind of set up this pivotal Game 5 now with the series heading back to Philly for at least one more game. Philly struck first in the first inning. Mariano Duncan singled, and then John Kruk doubled him home. Wes Chamberlain added a sacrifice fly in the 4th that scored Pete Incaviglia. And then Darren Dalton homered in the top of the 9th to make it 3-0 Phillies, and it looked like we were coming back to Philly needing to win one of the last 2 games to win the NLCS. Curt Schilling was cruising. He had 9 Ks through 8 innings and was just dominating the Braves that day. Led off the 9th with a walk. Kim Batiste with yet another error in this series. And that was it for Curt Schilling. Mitch Williams came in, and Mitch Williams is going to Mitch Williams. And next thing you know, it was 3-3, and they were heading into extra innings for the second time in the series. Lenny Dykstra with one out in the 10th, hit a solo shot to give the Phillies the 4-3 lead. Old Larry Anderson, yes, boys and girls, for those of you who did not know, Larry Anderson, the radio guy for the Phillies, used to pitch for them. Had a couple different stints in Philly, but he came in and got the 1-2-3 10th inning to end it. Phillies were up 3-2, one win away from the World Series, coming back home to the Vet in Philly. We know how that worked out. The Phillies did win Game 6. It was almost made that the spotlight game, but I think this was a better game because of how it played out and the drama that went into it. Phillies win Game 6. Curt Schilling won the MVP of the NLCS. 2 no decisions, but had a 1.69 ERA and 19 strikeouts in his 2 starts as the Phillies were heading to Toronto to take on the Blue Jays. But Game 5 of the 1993 NLCS, a 4-3, 10-inning victory for the Phillies, is today's Red October. Great games in Phillies postseason history of the day. We'll have another one tomorrow. This has been fun as we're gearing up for Red October to get underway on Saturday. Mets Brewers tonight. Winner will come to Philly this weekend. Who do you got? Who's winning the game? Mets or the Brewers? 267-495-8531. That's a Back to the Future voice and text line. We'll have more on Sixers training camp. On this day in 1993, not only did the Phillies find out they were playing the Braves, the Eagles beat the Jets 35-30 in a thriller up in the Meadowlands. Eric Allen, the hero, returning Boomer Esiason's interception, 94 yards for the game-winning touchdown. A game in which, despite going 4-0, the feelings were not good in Philly because Randall broke his leg, Fred Barnett tore his ACL, and we were stuck with Bubby Brister, who had a football coach in 9th grade who I guess played in the same league as Bubby Brister in high school. And my brother, if he's listening today, he knows who I'm talking about. His claim to fame was always, hey, I intercepted Bubby, and this is really how his voice sounded. I intercepted Bubby Brister in a high school game. And it's kind of like, yeah, lots of people have intercepted Bubby Brister. But anyway, quick Bubby Brister story there. Shana Tova to all my friends out there who are celebrating the new year. I wish you a healthy and prosperous new year. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for October 3rd, 2024. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Thursday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.